Hi, I'm Irene. Thanks for joining us. We are delighted to have scientist Dr. Joe Ahrens, who has created a drug which can prevent the disease of Ebola from spreading. This has earned him a nomination for the Nobel Prize 2015. Welcome, Dr. Joe.
Oh, thank you. I'm really good to be here.
So we know that you and Daryl Thompson are both nominated for the Nobel Prize 2015
Yes.
on the creation of a drug called Equiver, which can prevent the diseases like Ebola, SARS, and flu from spreading. Can you tell us more on the function of it?
Well, Equivir, this product that we discovered, works on the Ebola virus, but it is all focused on the inflammatory response. First of all, you have a virus that attacks a cell and it recognizes the cell just like a handshake.
Handshake.
Just like a handshake. On the cell, the virus comes along. That's the first step in recognition. We inhibit that. But secondly, once the virus does happen to get into a cell, it does on some occasions, then there's something called RNA polymerase, which makes the virus multiply itself. We inhibit that also. The third step, which makes Ebola and dengue so different than like influenza and the common cold, is that there's an inflammatory response that causes the cells to actually melt. The glue that holds cells together gives up, and you get a liquefaction and hemorrhage. So our process stops all three of those.
How long have both of you working on this?
Well, we've been actively working on it about a year and a half, but before that, we were already working on some viruses with the United States Defense Department to make sure that some viruses did not become weapons, and we were working with them. Then when Ebola came on the scene, particularly last year, they recontacted us and said, look, why don't you take a look at Ebola, because you guys are experts in that inflammatory response. So we looked at it because we were already working on carbohydrate metabolism and a little bit on Alzheimer's, the inflammatory part of that, and we said, yeah, I think we can do that. So we put a test in. We had it done at the University of Texas Level 4 research facility in San Antonio, and we were very successful in overcoming Ebola.
What is the main reason that drive you to do this research actually?
Well, you know, we've always focused on meeting the problems of people that are underrepresented actually, even our work with diabetes, Alzheimer's, and we saw that this area where Ebola was trouble there's not a lot of help.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of major companies were not going after cures. How much money are they going to make when people really needed help? We thought we could come up with an economical solution that did not have to be refrigerated, was easy to distribute in parts of the world such as Africa. And working with colleagues there, we developed not only the drug, but a distribution system. And if we're able now to do the next step, which is primates, then and Ebola is still trouble, we'll be able to distribute this compound in Africa and in Southeast Asia.
Okay, actually we know that Ebola are known as RNA viruses, so which can mutate rapidly. So how can your research helps in solving this actually?
Well, there is a compound in our formula that actually interferes with the duplication of those genes. You know, a virus has it's ribose nucleotide as opposed to deribose nucleotide. That just means the genes are made up of this sugar and bases, and they replicate from one side to the other. It's like a thread being wrapped around each other, and it untwists like this. And then the body, our body, builds new pieces alongside each strand, so we end up with two strands, and that's how that process works. It actually, the virus hijacks our cells to make us duplicate the virus instead of our own bodies. Well, this almost completely eliminates that process, which is called RNA polymerase duplication.
So how does it work? How does it stop actually? Because is it works on the variants of viruses?
Yes, it'll work on any virus. You know, not just Ebola. That's why it's so phenomenal. We've had success in the common cold, influenza, not only a regular influenza, but some resistant strains, Tamiflu resistant strains, and of course the Ebola virus itself. So as long as you have an ability to stop the RNA polymerase, that's the unraveling and the duplication, and then it's called the repackaging of the genetic material, that greatly inhibits that. But you've also got to stop the inflammatory process. The difference between Ebola and influenza is that inflammatory response. So if you do get some invasion, replication, and then leaving the body, you get that inflammatory response, and you've got to stop that, because that's the difference between like influenza and Ebola.
So you talk about can prevent a lot of different viruses, right? How about dengue? The dengue case in Malaysia is quite serious.
Yes.
So is it can cure about these things?
Well, dengue is very important in this part of the world for sure. Actually, we have some dengue in South Texas and in Key West, Florida. It's same, but it's small. Here it's very difficult. Well, this also does appear to work with dengue. It absolutely does. Now the difference between dengue and Ebola, the front end is the same. You have a very similar infection, you have a very similar replication, but the inflammatory part is different. Instead of you melting, this triggers excessive pain and dehydration, and it's really a nightmare to have to be stuck with this, and it can continue for a long time, completely exhaust people. But you actually don't melt like you do. It's not a hemorrhagic fever like you have in Ebola. Nevertheless, it's identical in its severity. Much more severe than actually Ebola itself. There were not that many worldwide cases of Ebola. While there's dengue, it's continuously here, and it's got a strong impact on not only the personal issues, but just the economic activity of the country. So likewise, it inhibits the initiating of the recognition, the handshake, stops that. Then it stops the replication inside by inhibiting RNA polymerase. Thirdly, it stops the inflammatory response, and you don't get that pain and severe breakdown.
As what I know, because your research, right, is all come from natural ingredients. So is it can only be consumed by your capsules, or actually we take our daily consumes can get same effect as what we take from the capsules as well?
Well,
yeah.
This is a natural product, and you know, just because you say something's a natural product does not mean it is not as strong or powerful as a synthetic drug.
Yeah, there's some people
that's
sometimes
very
they think that.
It's
yeah.
right, and most people think, oh, this is a real medicine, or this is a synthetic medicine, or this is something natural. You know, penicillin itself, the best drug, one of the best drugs we've ever had, is a natural ingredient. Was found in mold. Aspirin, probably the biggest drug ever sold, is also found from nature. And even some of these drugs we take for cholesterol, they also, like Lipitor, it's right out of nature. Red rice yeast is where it came from. So we have a natural product that can be taken without consequence. You cannot overdose with it. It's impossible. So I think we have the best of both worlds. We've got a product that's natural. It can't be. It does not interfere with another drug. There's no drug interaction, and it's very. It works quickly. Does not need to be refrigerated. It's handled very easily, and you can't overdose on it.
Yeah, people will think about when taking any drugs, they will think about the consequences of side effect. So because it's come from natural, so
Yes.
basically we don't need to worry about it, right?
Yes, that's another reason that we got fast forwarded in our research, because it was already known that these products were safe and natural.
Okay, I guess all for today. Thank you, Dr. Joe. Thanks for your sharing. Nice to have you here in Malaysia.
Thank you. Very good to be here. Thank you.